Hello folks, today we are going to talk about 4 things that I hope Lumix will improve about the S5IIX that they haven't done until now. Lumix has released really cool firmware update until this moment. Each firmware update, they just enchanted the beauty of this camera. So these things that I'm going to talk about, some of them might be minor, some of them might be bigger, but they are all things that are going to make this camera even better for me, and I hope for you too. So write down below what you will wish for Lumix to release more as a firmware update and as a things, but these are going to be my 4 things. The first thing is I hope they are going to release a firmware update and take away the contract detect autofocus thing that they have put into the HD slow motions in this camera. So if you're shooting in 1080p 60 onwards, you basically lose the hybrid AF detect that Lumix has implemented this year, or since the release of the S5IIX and the S5IIX, unfortunately. So I hope they are going to improve on that and that they are going to finally take away that blockage that they have put there, because it doesn't make sense for me that they have put that, especially because in 4K and up to 6K you can use basically the hybrid detect autofocus system, and in HD you can't. Why? I don't know, but I hope they're gonna take it away, especially because if you just want to shoot full frame slow motion, and especially in 100 or 120p, you can only do them in 1080, but they are not phase detect, so or better, they don't have the new implementation of autofocus that Lumix has. So it's a bummer, and I hope they're going to improve on that, because I don't see any reasons why you will limit that. The second thing is the proxies. Since the 3.0 in the S5IIX and the 2.0 in the S5IIX, we have received proxies delivery, which is amazing. Nobody will have ever imagined that Lumix would do that in this price point of a camera, but they did it. And there is a quirk though. You can only use them in 4K and Cinema 4K, which is cool, but you can't use them in 5K and 6K open gate, and that's a little bit of a bummer, because that's what most of us are using. And it will be really nice if we will be able to do that, especially for Frame.io, for example, because Frame.io you can only send proxies to the Frame.io, and if you want to deliver, for example, really quickly for, I don't know, your editor to basically create a reel while you're shooting a wedding or so ever, you will usually use the 6K open gate. But in this case, we can't do that. So we are just limited to 4K, and the work will be done through the 4K image, which is a little bit of a bummer, because what you want, it's not the 4K. Like the 3x2 was created for you to have that possibility of cropping in your image and make it vertical and not lose space and quality. So that's basically makes it so that the proxies are cool if you're doing some documentary project or stuff like that, as I do. But then for social media and many things where we need the 3x2, we can't really use the proxies there. And so that kind of defeats the purpose of the 3x2 aspect ratio if you want to use the proxies and basically deliver it to an editor before you actually deliver the full quality of the image, so then you can have everything there. So yeah, I hope you guys understood what I'm trying to say, but I really hope they will just open up the proxies to even the higher quality videos or higher formats that they have in the camera, and that would be pretty cool. What you think? What is your point of view on what I just said? Share your comment down below and let's have a chat there. And there are 2 more The other one is the starting time of the camera. The starting time of the camera is quite slow. I have to say, I think it's like between 3 and 5 seconds, which is interesting sometimes, because you just turn it on and you stay there and wait and wait. And there are maybe a couple of times where I had to, I forgot to shoot quickly one thing, and then I turn it off, and I turn it off and turn it on again, and I had to wait, and I lost those few seconds of movement that I needed to capture. So it would be cool if Lumix manages to kind of reduce the starting time of the camera, because yeah, it's quite slow on starting up, but this camera is still amazing, and that doesn't bother me. But in those rare cases, that will be helpful. The last one, it's actually not related at all to the Lumix S5 Mark II or Mark IIX, but is kind of related to it at the same time, and I'm talking about the Lumix Sync app. For me, at the moment, it's really useless as an app, just because I don't know if it's a user error or what is it, but if I'm filming in vlog, I don't know how to implement the LUT in the app. And that bothers me so much, because then I can't really see myself that well in the app. I can't expose myself properly in the app, just because I can't, like, I'm missing those important tools that, for example, with the Axion SE that I'm using now, I can have and I can do. So I hope Lumix will implement this app a little bit better to make it more usable, because now it's user-friendly, but it's not really usable if you're not using like the standard formats like normal, standard, or so ever. So I hope Lumix will implement that and kind of help us out in that perspective, because until now, for me, the experience of the Lumix Sync app has not been great at all. So I really hope Lumix will kind of make it more usable and maybe change a little bit the app itself, because it's quite outdated, I have to say. So it's not a critique, it's mostly a hope and maybe a little bit of a critique too. So yeah, but guys, what do you think? Have you had any issue with the app too, as I did? Or there is a way where I can like actually upload LUTs and see myself, or use waveforms and other things like that? And yeah, like, what do you think? I would really love to know if there is anything I can do, because instead of bringing with me every time the Axion, I can just use the Camera Connect, and I have one less or 3 less things to bring with me, because you have the battery, you have the device, and then you have the HDMI cable. So it's not a huge heavy thing to do, but if I have the Camera Connect app, I can use the Axion on another camera or some other thing. So yeah, but here are my thoughts on things that I hope Lumix will change. Of course, there are a couple of things like the waveform, being able to see the waveform on the monitor or external monitor, for example. That will be super cool. And yeah, that's what comes in my mind in this moment. But what other things comes to you in your mind? And take good care of yourself. Thank you for hearing me blabbering. I'm gonna see you in the next one.